Welcome to the first annual Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic, brought to you from the Bow Valley in beautiful Alberta, Canada. Our host venues are the Banff Curling Club in the iconic Banff National Park, and the Canmore Golf and Curling Club in the gateway to the Canadian Rockies. The event is proudly sponsored by Qualico. We create what we believe in. The Malcolm. Experience Canmore's crown jewel. Vision Electronics. Your best price. And Bow Valley Credit Union. Growing together. The Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic. Up next. Welcome to Banff in the 11:30 draw. We're pleased to bring you today's matchup. 11:30 draw number 6. Strong and Scoffin playing against Fowler and Fowler. Helen Strong and Wade Scoffin, who reside in Whitehorse and play the Whitehorse Curling Club. And of course, Anna and Ben Fowler, the brother and sister team, representing England national team, part of the British curling team program. So it should be a great matchup today. Some seasoned veterans and some mixed doubles veterans. So look forward to an exciting matchup. Game has just gotten underway. Strong and Scoffin do have the hammer. They earned that, as it's earned in all our mixed doubles games through a last stone draw. Both players on each team throw a draw to the button before the game begins, and based on the best score, that team gets to choose. And normally, of course, they choose to have hammer because it's an advantage. And in this case, Strong and Scoffin had a better combined draw than the Fowler team, hence last stone draw. What a great throw there right off the bat by Wade Scoffin, coming around, moving the blue one behind the tee line. Seems to be a predominant strategy, especially in mixed doubles where there's not a lot of hits, that you throw back ring weight in order to just move the opponent's rock into the back rings, giving you some backing and putting yours into a good position. So early on here, of course, we start with one rock, in our case position 2, 4.5 feet in front of the house as a guard, and position 2 is just on the hog line side of that mark, and the second stone is placed in the back of the 4 foot, with the back of the stone touching the back of the 4 foot line. Here we go. Just so we also remind our viewers that while we will be bringing you live streaming of the Strong Scoffin versus Fowler game, we do have over on sheet 1 Chiz Thomas, and I should say Chiz is Nadine Chiz, who's actually Nadine Scotland now, going by the last name Scotland, so it should be actually Scotland Thomas. They're playing against Roth Nurnberger from the US. We've got Crump Wilson, a team out of Brooks here in Alberta, on sheet 2, playing against Carey and Hodgson, 2 veterans to the game, and a very good team in mixed doubles. And finally on sheet 4 to our right, one that you get to see parts of to the right of our broadcast, we've got Cheryl Bernard, TSN broadcaster, silver medalist at the Olympics, and her husband Terry Meek, who has been a quite predominant curler himself, playing against Rock and Steinke. Kelsey Rock, we know, 2-time world champion in the junior ranks, playing very well in the women's rank, finding her place, and Steinke, a member of the Sturmey team, and just finished a great career at U of A, playing in university curling and a junior curling career, and the Sturmey team making quite an impression early on out in the men's field. So great games going on all during this draw, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on. Back to our feature game, though, we have 2 rocks each team left. Rocks are setting up in the house around that 4 foot area. Certainly yellow looking to have a bit of an advantage with that top 4 positioning to get it back, but we're unsure whose shot. It could be blue or yellow, but I have to imagine in 4 shots that will be determined. Looks like Fowlers are going to try and tap their own blue across the house into a good position, exposing that yellow rock, or they might just play it into the yellow. They have to be careful, because in playing that blue rock back, wrong angle on the yellow could actually double out their blue and leave yellow in a really good position. But this is an aggressive game. It's a very offensive game, and it does require a lot of little touch shots and hitting right angles. So let's see how Ben does in his shot. Shots away. Anna's yelling hard, and Ben's trying to get it there. Looks like he's a bit light on this shot. Looks like it's going to maybe not even get over. And no, it doesn't. Not sure if that rock picked up something or if that rock might have just been light out of his hand, but certainly curled hard and didn't make it there, exposing and leaving a great opportunity here for Strong and Scoffin to take advantage of that situation. So here comes Wade Strong, Wade Scoffin, sorry, trying to make a run back on his own yellow, and what a great shot. As we say, rocks behind the hog line can be a disadvantage to a team because they do help stop a rock, but in this particular case, a great run back by Wade, setting up a great situation. Looks like yellow's now lying too. They do have some cover over top of that, but of course Fowler and Fowler have that blue rock in the top 8 that they can advance back, and there's not too big a distance between that and the 2 yellows, so good opportunity to earn back the advantage here with a nice touch shot when Ben Fowler comes down to throw. It's great to be here live at the Banff Club, providing this telecast. The Banff Curling Club, of course, situated in Banff, Alberta, in the Rocky Mountains. The club is a fantastic setting. It's got huge windows that look up on Mount Norquay. You can actually see skiing out there and usually some wildlife, and really bright. It's a great new modern facility, and I know a lot of curlers like playing in it. So right now we've got the Fowler team looking at a bunch of different options. We have seen so far through the draws here in Banff that we are getting 5.5 to 6 foot of curl. So, you know, with the right weight, you certainly can bend around most situations. So that back blue rock is available to someone to draw around too, including the Fowlers. And I think you would get shot if you came around. But I do think it looks like the shot they want to call that would be probably the higher percentage shots to play that blue rock up top back into that yellow situation. One, you remove those yellow rocks, but you also get rid of one that's in the 4 foot. So I don't know that it'll be a heavyweight shot, but it'll be something probably back ring or back line to push the rock through to the back of the house, if not just through. So coming back down, it is the last shot for Fowler and Fowler. Again, they're facing 2 yellows, and Strong and Scoffin belongs to them. And of course, they have last rocks. A really important shot here for Fowler and Fowler to try and gain back advantage here before the final stone from Strong and Scoffin. Looks like Anna's set. Looks like they're confident in the call, and just waiting to see what it is. One thing with mixed doubles we've seen is, of course, players do a lot of discussing. There is only 2, and as they set for their shot, they can change their mind. And with no one holding a broom in the house, we're not always 100% sure what they're playing. But it seems the way that Anna's lining up and Ben set up the sweep that they are going to draw around that center blue and try and just get back past the yellow and to the yellow on the top of the house in that situation. So we'll wait and see how this comes out. Oh, it looks like a hit. And Ben's on it right quick. And he's off it now. She's on a top blue. Maybe enough. Here it goes. Oh. Well, good news there is it did remove the shot stone yellow. We are not sure which stone is shot, but I don't know that it'll be material by the time that Helen Strong finishes her throw, because she's obviously going to come down and make a play on that back blue one and hopefully sit right there and score the deuce to get off to a good start in this game. So in both cases with this game, we've got the ladies. We've got Helen Strong and Anna Fowler throwing the 1st and 5th stones, and we've got Wade Scoffin and Ben Fowler throwing stones 3, 4, and 5. In the game of mixed doubles, 2 position stones, 5 stones are thrown, so only 7 in play, and one person throws 1 and 5, and the other throws 2, 3, and 4. So here we go, final rock of the end, a chance for Strong and Scoffin to make a hit, sit for two, and take an early lead. Rockspin release, good positive rotation. Wade's on it very early though, trying to hold the line. Needs to hold it out there. I think he's getting it by that guard. He is, yes, he's by the guard now. He's got to hope it hits and sticks. It's rolling. It's rolling. It does have some backing, but unfortunately rolled too far. So great attempt. They did remove the shot stone and do still score their one. So after one in this in the game, Fowler against Strong and Scoffin. Strong and Scoffin took advantage of the last rock and took their one and take a 1-0 lead heading into round two. All right, we're ready to start the second end. Scoring 1 point, that gives the hammer over to Fowler and Fowler. We did mention already they are a sister and brother team out of England. They are the reigning English mixed doubles champions. In fact, Anna, before with this one, plus she's won 2 others, so she's won 3 English mixed doubles championships. Also, if you check out her Twitter page, she's an avocado enthusiast. I'm going to ask Anna after the game what an avocado enthusiast is. Be interesting to know. We'll bring you that. We should say recently that in Italy they played in the Italian Mixed Doubles Cup earlier this year, just recently actually, and Fowler won that event. So they're coming off a recent win, and obviously part of the British curling program with coaches like Nancy and Greg Drummond. They are in a good stead, so we do expect them to perform quite well here in our event, and certainly so far they are doing just that. Great draw down there by Helen, putting one perfectly melded onto that, or not melded, but just bump back that shot stone and sit on top of it, making it hard to remove. But still, there is room there for Anna to come down right on top of it and freeze it in a shot rock position, which would be very enviable. Ben's sweeping really hard to get it by. He is by, it looks like. Weight does look good. And great shot there, just enough bounce to move the yellow out in the open and free it off of that back blue so that they can make a play on it. So setting up really nice for Fowler and Fowler, who do have last rock in this end. Wade Scoffin now is going to send his first rock down, a chance to put it back into that pocket and in a good position. As we said, we don't have to get shot rock this early. It's what happens at the end of the end, but certainly want to position our rocks on top of the others in a way that it's hard to remove them. And making contact removes the frozen stone. This one looks to be a bit heavy, but Wade's trying to sweep it over. Use a directional sweeping technique. Little heavy, so didn't quite come over on top of the blue, but not a bad result because he has the backing in behind, so it won't be easy to just remove that rock. But certainly Fowler can use that to their advantage, and backing for them as they start to build up an end here. One thing, as we've talked about with mixed doubles, is not a lot of times the teams elect to make a hit, and that's usually because by the time you're allowed to hit, which is the 4th thrown stone, there is a number of rocks in play, and it's not as advantageous as getting aggressive and just playing taps and draws into the house. All right, we've got Ben set up. We've seen a lot during this event that the players are not holding a broom in the house, electing more to have the person down helping sweeping. We see it a lot of times on hits, but also a lot of times when they're drawing. In this case, we've seen Anna in the house holding it, Ben throwing and jumping straight up to follow it down and sweep. Looks like he's trying to come around to the situation. Looks like he's on it. Weight does look really good, and it's tracking in nicely. This is going to be a great shot. It is coming in really nicely on the curl, and his weight looks to be perfect. Just a little rub on his blue, but it flops over on top of that yellow, and it's going to be very hard to get it out of there for Strong and Scoffin at any point. But it does leave a little bit of a pocket, and if Wade can throw this perfectly and get it in there, it will take at least 2 shots for Fowler and Fowler to get it out, because it will be welded against 2 rocks with a backing of a yellow to the right. So great opportunity to muzzle out a little bit of an advantage that the Fowlers had built up so far in this end. Here comes Wade down. The rock does look a little bit heavy. It really needs to curl in here, but it needs to slow down first. Rock needs to slow down and curl, but I think it's just a little bit heavy. Let's see where it ends up. It might get a bit of a bounce off the back one if they can get it by. Well, an opportunity there. Wasn't taken advantage of, but still lots of throws to be had in this end. Looks like we have blue sitting 2 right now, and in a really good position to take advantage of that miss and put a rock right where Strong and Scoffin were looking to put it and seal off that that hole. That would be a big advantage if Scoffin and Strong can get into it. You can see by the ice that Anne is taking that a draw to the button is just over 6 feet if in fact that ice is right, and we have to assume it is. These curlers are very professional and know what they're doing, and that would say that we're getting just over 6 feet of curl on our sheet, and that's pretty consistent with what we've been seeing so far through the draws. Ben looks like he's got a good rock here. The weight looks right. I'm not sure if it's going to curl as far as they wanted. They actually wanted that to come across, but still a great shot. It does block off the path in, so still a great result for them. And not getting in there to be 3rd shot, but does block the path for Strong and Scoffin to get down in that pocket that was left. So it does the trick. And now we'll see what Strong and Scoffin come up with as a way to try and generate a steal, or at least block off a multiple end by the Fowler duo. While we wait for the shot to be called, we can tell you a little about Helen Strong and Wade Scoffin. Wade is from Whitehorse. He's participated in 3 Briers and 4 Canadian mixed championships. Although he's been a competitor at an elite level, he's probably better known for his coaching. He's coached in Yukon, and he's coached his son to 7 national championships. His son being Thomas, who's had a really good junior career and moving into the men's. In fact, he's just moved back home to Yukon, and last year with his dad made it down to the Brier and are hoping to continue that. So some excitement, and you could see when I talked to Wade before the game, he's excited to have his son back, but also be playing competitive curling with him as opposed to what he used to do, which was coach him all the time. Here comes his rock, though. Wade's down. Let's see what comes of this. Well, it didn't curl over enough to get to the inside like he hoped. It does leave an opening, I think, for Fowler and Fowler to come on this side and just tap that back to lie 4 with some good backing of yellow rock. So that would seem to be the call here. But of course, Helen has a shot coming up next. You don't want to put it too deep where you give them an out to get out of it. So looking like they might actually put one up in the top 4 to block the path in, setting up a shot on the next one to get their big score. Well, if I had a telestrator, I could try to draw all that movement out, but what it looks like they want to do is come down and catch that yellow one, hit the back yellow one, and hopefully move the blue one out a little bit. Well, that's a lot to happen, but we'll see what happens when he throws the rock. Once again, rather than holding the broom for brother Ben for the shot, Anna's going to go down and help with the sweeping. A lot of times on these more difficult or exact shots, they like to have the extra sweeper rather than someone holding the broom in the house. Here comes a shot. Oh, on and off is usually a good sign. Well, most of what they wanted, didn't want to hit the blue out. They wanted to move it over more, but they did get rid of that back yellow and in fact set up quite a pocket there. So as Strong and Scoffin look to deal with this situation, they'll have to try to remember that those back yellows are there as catchers for these blues. But looks to be an opening if they can hit this outside blue like Wade's showing, get an inside roll, clip the top blue a bit. It should come back on top of the back blue and sit right on top frozen. So as long as they get to the inside of this blue on a hit, I don't think it can get through that hole, so should be able to sit around there and shot and make it difficult for Fowler and Fowler to get their point or even a multiple score. So a bit of an opportunity here. Helen has to throw the shot though, and we'll see if she can get that inside roll and make the shot and put pressure back on Fowler and Fowler. So a bit of an out here for them, where things were adding up for Fowler and Fowler to be a big end. Well, Helen looks ready. And the rock's away. Looks like Wade's on it right quick. He's going on it pretty hard. They've got to get it by this top guard. As long as they're by this guard, something good can happen, but you don't want to hit that guard. And that's exactly what happened. So we've got Fowler and Fowler sitting 3 with a chance just to draw down into this pocket, anywhere in this pocket against these blues, and they should be able to score a 4 and take a bit of an early advantage in this game. Just as I look over to sheet number 4 beside us, where we have Stanky and Rock playing Bernard and Meek in the first end. Rock and Stanky took 2. Just waiting for them to post what happened in the second. And when we look over on sheet 2, where we have Hodgson and Chelsea Carey playing against Crump and Wilson. Crump and Wilson out of Brooks. We're just now looking to see what they've done in the second end, but Hodgson and Carey have taken a 3-0 lead. And over on sheet 1, we're just waiting for sheet 2 to be posted, but it looks again like Charlie Thomas and Nadine Scotland have taken a 2-0 lead after the first end, and they have scored in the second end. We just don't know what that is because they haven't put the score back up. And there we have it. Fowler and Fowler draw down into that little hole there, the 4-foot, earning them 4 points in this second end. So certainly a chance for Fowler and Fowler to get a big end, but they seem to have given that chance right back to Strong and Scoffin late and given them an out, but unable to execute on that takeout. A little bit inside and caught the guard, gave the chance back for Fowler and Fowler to make that shot, and Anna making no mistake on that draw. Lovely shot, and so we're 4-1 for Fowler over Strong and Scoffin after the second end, heading into the third. But Strong and Scoffin playing well, do have hammer and a chance to get themselves close to level, if not level, in this next end. So as I look over to sheet 2 and Hodgson and Carey against Wilson and Crump, I see a blank end in the second end. I don't know yet in any of the draws so far in the event that we've had a blank end. It's a rarity, I'd say, in mixed doubles, but we have had that here in the second end in the Hodgson Carey and Crump Wilson game. A rare blank end. Back to the feature game. Anna, just having drawn down to the 4-foot for the 4, has a chance to just go right back up and throw another draw down into the 4-foot, trying to take advantage of that center line guard that's always placed at the beginning of an end in mixed doubles. Unless, of course, the team's on a power play, which is when you have last rock, you position the rocks over to the side and drive the play over there. But coming up a little bit light on this shot and rubbing into the guard. So setting up a bit of a situation, some blockage out front. Chance for Helen Strong now to draw around and put 2 in the house. Of course, we all know that 3-foot in front of the house and within 2 feet of that center line is a dangerous position for an opposing team, because those rocks are easily raised back into whatever situation is developing. So although Wade and Scoffin have a chance to sink a second one around here, Fowler and Fowler do have those 2 up front guards that are just along the center line and a chance to bump both of those back in. But certainly nice for Strong and Scoffin to get those 2 in behind cover and be in a great position, albeit both behind the tee line. um, which is a more favorable spot for the Fowlers to have them so that they have a chance to play on top and be shot. Here comes Ben with his first throw of the end. As you can see, Anna's holding the broom way out on the edge of 12. That would be 6 feet of curl. Ben's on it quick, trying to hold it there. Wants to hold it to get it by the guards. It looks like he's got enough room. He's going hard. It's really close. It's really close, but I think he's going to get by. He is. Now we're just waiting to see what kind of weight he has. Can they drag it back into the button? Can they drag it back? And yes, they can. I think the yellow's still shot, but that blue rock is completely buried. Just the situation out front is we have one blue rock on the right of center line with about a quarter of it over the center line, and about 4 inches over we have another blue rock right beside it. So that rock, as well as the two yellow rocks, are completely buried behind two blue rocks. The blue guards out front are not overlapping, so both are available for Fowler to raise back into the house. But certainly a chance here for Strong and Scoffin to draw down on top of that blue one and get a good position. Well, last end, Wade Scoffin threw a draw a little bit too heavy, and certainly he has corrected that because he threw an absolute great shot, drawing around the two guards out front, tapping the blue back basically behind that tee line, a usable stone for them to freeze to, and setting up sitting two for the team of Strong and Scoffin. So early here in the third end, Strong and Scoffin making some great shots and setting themselves up. Fowler and Fowler looking at, do they come around the left and tap that blue back into that situation, or do they try and run one of their front blues into the situation and deal with it that way? The good thing about running back a blue, which would be the choice that I would make, is it does, if you miss the shot, it does open it up. So it gives you access to those yellows. And even though you don't have last shots, certainly those yellows are in a position that you could make a double or a triple if you're able to get to the nose of that top one. It does look like they're going to choose to play the run back here on the one on the right side. So the one on the right side, if you see that yellow rock in the house in the top four, that's almost straddling half and half over the center line. The blue rock is about 3 feet in front of the house, and it's on that exact same line. So basically looking at a nose hit, if not just a little bit off center on the right side. So here goes Ben, and is down to sweep. Nice positive rotation on that. Should help the rock stay straight. It does need to curl a little bit though. I don't think it will. Let's see what happens. Well, as we said, at least if it opens it up, it's a chance to make a play on those yellow ones later. And they are lined up in a way you can make a triple. So advantage back though. Strange and Scoffin, who are already sitting in a good position, have a chance to either bring another one on top or even put a guard that's close in and usable. Of course, Fowler and Fowler still have the other blue rock, which is about, I'd say, about half a rock off the center line to the left, but they can still advance that one back into that situation and make a play at it. But I think Wade will have seen that, and he'll either be playing one that hooks around that guard a little bit or comes right down into it. Didn't see the call, and of course with Helen down to help sweeping, we'll have to wait till the release to know what they're looking at doing. He's going out wide, which would lead me to believe we're playing a guard here on that type of ice. I think he wants it close though, because you always want it to be usable by yourself, but I don't think he wants it deep so that they may make a play on the situation. So here goes Helen sweeping really hard to get it over, and it is. Now they're just wanting it to sit. They want it just to sit down right now. The rock won't come into play, and there we go. So the situation out front now, we said we have a blue rock, which is about half a rock over, right in front of, if you imagine that one blue rock in the house. The yellow rock now is straddling the line about 3/4 and a quarter over top of that front blue. So they've taken away the direct raise on that blue, and they've covered off their own yellows. So certainly the house, the 4 foot is accessible with the draw. We've seen it curling 6 feet, so they can get down to that situation, but not sure if they can bump the yellow far enough to get shot. But certainly sitting on top will set that shot up for the following shot that they'll have. So Ben's coming down now to throw his final stone of this end. Of course, Anna will have one to follow. This is a setup shot where they're going to try and come right down on top of that yellow and bump it a bit and sit there so they have two usable rocks. The one on the left they can play on, or the one on the right if Ben can put it in the spot they want. Ben's ready to throw, and here comes our delivery. Well, he certainly got it out there. He'll need it to curl. It's going to come down to the weight. He's going on it hard, which would lead me to believe it's a little bit light. He really needs to get it there. He doesn't want to leave this too far out. He's now off it. He's trying to sweep it, but I think that's just going to come up short. The situation out in front of the house, that rock is a good 2 rocks over off the center line. Not what they want. It actually blocks that draw path in, not just for themselves, but also for Wade and Scoffin. So that'll be a problem. I don't think Wade and Scoffin will be able to get around that and get a shot, a stone that would outbeat that blue one. So I think they're going to come around the other way and try and just tap back the blue rock on the left. Well, just before Strong and Scoffin throw this shot, Julie Bergwin has written into us. She says she likes our rink. Well, thank you very much, Julie. It is beautiful. Wish you could be here in person to see it. Might be able to put some photos up later. It is a beautiful rink, lots of natural light. And she also thinks that the Fowler team is playing really well, and I would tend to agree. Scoring a 4 last end, they certainly do a lot of great shots. So thank you, Julie, for those comments. Keep them coming. We'll share them on air and answer any questions you may have. So Wade Scoffin just threw a rock that overcurled and hit the front yellow situation. So as we sit right now, they've exposed fully the blue rock on the left and a path in to get into that situation where we've got the yellows. So Fowler and Fowler getting a bit of a break here where they can now draw around and use that blue one to just come off a little bit and get into the button. So wait to see what they choose to do. It looks like rather than play that shot, they might actually just be guarding up that situation. Again, in a lot of cases when they don't hold the broom, we're not 100% sure, so we'll wait to see the path she takes, and that'll give us a sense of weight and in the shot that she's calling. It does look, by the way she's lining up, that they're going to throw a guard in to block this hole. Well, she's let it go. Ben's right on it. Ben's sweeping him very, very hard here. He's trying to get it over now. He's directionally sweeping it to the left. Anna is helping in because they want that rock to keep moving so that it can go over, and it's hooking hard right now. Well, they have. They put it, if you can imagine out front, if you look at that blue rock in the house, right in front of it was a hole that Strong and Scoffin could have used to remove it and get a bunch. And Anna Fowler just threw an absolutely beautiful shot, and there's a wall of rocks now blocking that entire left side situation. So we're down to the last rock in this end for Wade and Helen. They're in a good position because I believe they're sitting 1, and this would be a draw for 3. I don't know if it will curl enough to get in, but we'll wait and see based on how Helen throws this. Potentially with the perfect white, some good sweeping by Wade. It might be able to get over to bite the white, but there are a lot of guards out front. She has to go very, very wide to a spot they probably haven't been in. Well, Wade's right on it sweeping. It's a good sign because they need to be tight to this guard if they have a chance of getting it to that button. He's now directionally trying to sweep it over. Here it comes. It is coming. It is coming. Do they have enough weight? Here it comes. It's really hooking hard. Do they have it right? Do they have it right? Look at that shot, and some great acknowledgement by our crowd here. Wow. Yes, it was available, and with a perfectly thrown weight, as we've seen all through the draws here, it is going 6 feet. So with the right weight, it really will hook in, and that was a great example. Helen threw a beautiful shot. So 3 on the board for Strong and Scoffin will tie this game. As we've seen throughout, and commented on, a lead is not safe in this game. You can score 3 or 4 quite easily. 2s are quite common. 1 happens sometimes, and a blank. Well, we finally had our first one of the event that we know about on sheet 2, but something that's very, very uncommon. This is an aggressive offensive type of game, and a lot of the players, when we talk to them, that's exactly what they say. Well, that'll give a lot of confidence to Helen, especially on that throw, but also the team. And they're right back in it, tied 4-all as we head into the fourth and the final end of the first half. We do just want to give a shout out to our sponsors as we wait for the first throw of this end. They've been a big help to us putting on this event. That's Qualico, our major sponsor, our silver sponsors, the Malcolm Hotel, Vision Electronics, and Bow Valley Credit Union, as well as some curling and local businesses. All of that support's helped us make this event come to happen, and we appreciate and thank them very much. Back here, Helen's got another good shot coming down, a little bit light, but the good news is it will continue to block the front up, and where they don't have last rock, guards along the center line help to bring the play to the center line, and certainly always makes it easier for a steal. So not what they wanted to come back to the button, but certainly another rock up front, and a rock that's usable. They certainly can advance those 2 yellows back in the house. All right, here we go. Anna's first throw. She's trying to come around the out front guards and get it back into the top 4. Looks like she has a good one coming. Whenever the sweeper's on and off again, it's always a good sign. This one is tracking in really, really nice. Weight looks good and line looks perfect. Anna has thrown a beautiful shot right in here. Lovely, lovely shot, and she's kept it splitting the tee line. So again, they'll have to move that rock a little bit to get the shot. Strong and Fowler, but it's a great draw there by Anna Fowler. As we talked about, Anna is a 3-time English mixed doubles champion, playing this year with her brother Ben. And earlier this year, quite recently earlier this year, having won the Italian Mixed Doubles Cup. So certainly a team to contend, and they're committed to this game, the mixed doubles game. So it's great to see, and that's one thing we're noticing with this field and in the game of mixed doubles. That of course it began with curlers coming together and playing the game, and it's evolving into teams specializing in this, learning the different strategies and playing together. So really great. Great to see that happening in the sport as people start to commit to it and really take it to another level. And we're seeing that, as we said, to the teams that are here, but also what's happening out there in the World Curling Tour. So great to see for this sport. Here comes Wade's first rock of the end, trying to draw around and follow Anna down, but his rock's just over curling because it was a bit light. And so again, they have 3 rocks up front. They have a rock that's about a rock and a half off the center line to the right, another rock, a rock and a half off the center line to the left, and a rock that's right on the center line, and those are about 4 feet out in front of the house. They're a little bit overlap, making it hard to advance them in the house. They are actually advantaging Fowler and Fowler in their placement, but they still are there, and an opportunity later on to potentially move one of them back in the house to the situation that is developing to Fowler and Fowler's advantage here. So here comes Ben's first shot. He's trying to come around, has to go a little wider this time because of the rock that Wade just threw. Seems to have a good shot. He's on the sweeping. Anna's calling him on for line. He still has to go a little bit hard to get it around, but now he's fine, and here it comes. His weight looks to be just a bit heavier, so I don't think it'll quite curl in like Anna's did, but still a great throw and right on top. So we've got 3 blues. Looks like Strong and Schofield are going to try and run the one on the center line right back. They probably have an inch on the right and maybe 2 inches on the left to get to that nose of this rock they're trying to run back, because there are 2 other guards that are interfering with that situation to run it back. But Wade, as we said, is no stranger to these shots, having been to Briars and Canadian mixed champion. So a shot like this is one very, very capable of making, and he's ready to throw. We'll follow it down the ice. It needs to curl, so it's splitting the center line when it gets halfway to the house. So it needs to curl. It's starting to come, but it's got to go a little more. Is it going to make it? It might. And what a shot. What a shot. I wish you could see out front of the house, and actually you can. You can this way, so you can see how difficult a shot that was, but a great throw, driving his yellow one right back. And even though it's not shot rock, it wasn't looking pretty in the house for them, and now they've got one in there under lots of cover. So it'll be interesting to see what Fowler do. I think it's probably prudent to erase the situation up front with those guards. Not often do we see hits, but it is not in a good situation for them right now to score multiples, and that's what you want to do. So I think they're going to try and hit that top yellow one on the outside, so their blue rolls out and both yellows should go away, and that will open up the situation in the house. And if I'm Anna, the last thrower, that's what I want. Lots of opportunity on my last shot to get my rock into scoring position. So here comes Ben. He's released it and is just keeping it clean. It looks good. Here she goes. That means it's a great shot if she's sweeping that late, and absolutely what they wanted to do, getting rid of both those yellows and making sure their blue went away. So they've exposed the situation in the house, and even though the blue is open, if Strong and Scoffin make a play on it, it'll be an easy shot. None of them are easy, of course, for Fowler to come down on the situation and be able to take back advantage of this end. So really nice throw. It looks like Schofield and Strong are going to just remove that blue stone and sit two. And as we said, that'll give Fowler a chance to come down on it. But a multiple end is not looking like a situation that will be available to Fowler. Just to recap, for those that might have joined us a bit late, Strong and Scoffin took one in the first end. Fowler used some great drawing, as one of our viewers pointed out, to get a 4 in the second end, but right back. Strong and Scoffin built up a strong third end and were able to do an excellent draw to the button in order to score 3 of their own and tie the game after 3. There we go, nicely thrown rock, and great situation there for Strong and Schofield. The rocks are sitting there. I think if they can get to the crotch of those, they can make a double, and actually, as Anna was showing there, roll back up in behind the yellow. So what's important here, though, is to get rid of these 2 yellow rocks. Ben's a little bit nervous that that left yellow might jam on the back blue. They don't want that situation. He's lining it up to make sure they don't, so we'll see what happens here. What's important is to get rid of the situation. Both those yellows are above the tee line, so a great spot for Scoffin and Strong to be in. In one of the Canadian Mixed Championship, the husband and wife players were asked the question. They were asked the question, what's the best thing about playing with your spouse, and what's the worst thing about playing with your spouse? I was able to find that online, and Wade had answered the question, and what he said was they get to spend time together is the best reason to play mixed doubles with your spouse. And the worst, he said, was deciding on strategy, basically because the two of them have a different approach on it. So there you go, the best and worst of playing with your spouse from Wade Scoffin and Helen Strong. Best, you spend time together. The worst is they see the game a bit differently, so it creates some arguments. As we always say, there's never a right and wrong usually in curling. There's just a greater percentage. So different philosophies, being aggressive or defensive, will call for different shots. So always interesting when two people see it differently and want to play it differently. It can create some great banter. So when asked that same question, Helen said the best thing about playing with your spouse is I get to sleep with them, and the worst thing is I have to watch them play. So there you have it, the best and worst from Wade Scoffin and Helen Strong on playing mixed doubles with your spouse. If anybody out there listening plays mixed doubles with their spouse and wants to let us know what they think their best and worst reasons are for it, please share it with us, and we'll share it out on the air to anybody listening. So let us know if you have a best and worst reason for playing mixed doubles with your spouse. So here's Helen with her final shot of this end. They don't have hammer. It looks like they're trying to put a guard up front to guard this situation, because any sort of rock with weight that hits that top blue will get rid of the yellow and expose a 3 for Fowler and Fowles. This is an important stone. They've got to get it over, and they've got to get it on top of the situation so that they can't get to it. Well, Helen throwing exactly what she wanted to do. A great shot down, covering up that situation. So we'll see what Fowler and Fowler are going to do. I think with backline weight, they can get around the situation and get to the front of that blue and perhaps move the yellow back far enough to sit to. Of course, the other shot is just to pick out that yellow one and then take advantage of the biter to score 2. So we're going to see what they're called here. It looks like the latter. Looks like they're going to try and pick out that back yellow one with this weight. So the rock's on its way, but it does look inside. I don't know if they can get it by. It's really close. Can Ben hold it? Can he hold it? Oh, so close. It was just inside. So we get a steal. Steal by Scoffin Strong. Little fist pump out there by the couple, and looks like we're going to put one on the board. So an opportunity there for Fowler and Fowler, and it was only inches that led to this, but they will retain the hammer and only down 1 heading into the second half of this game. So we've got an exciting game between these two teams. Certainly a lot of great offense being played and a lot of great shots being made. All right, after that steal of 1, Helen Strong is up and throwing a rock that is tracking in nice. A really good line as it comes in, and I think you'll see it soon. It's going to over curl the situation, actually. Once again, as we've talked about, we're getting a good 6 feet of curl, so can't come tight to these centerline guards because likely will come out the other side. So you do want to miss the guard by a good rock's width, and that would give you almost a perfect berry. So good example there, that rock just popping out the other side. But Helen with great weight, top 4 weight, probably the ideal weight for this. That is exposed on the other side, easy to get to. So just waiting to see what Fowler and Fowler are going to try here. Haven't seen an indication. They have a couple options. They can draw around the same way and put one on the top 4 on the right side, or they can draw down on the right side of that yellow one. But it is shot rock the yellow, so they probably want to come around that way and maybe even just bump it out and roll in behind and sit 2 and push the yellow into the back of the ring so they can use it for backing later on in the end. And that's exactly what seems to be happening here, as Anna lets go her first rock and the team's first rock of this end. Ben's close, and now Anna's calling for him to sweep, and he is sweeping hard, and Anna is yelling hard. They're trying to keep this rock onto the inside of the yellow. They do want to make contact with it, and they do. And nicely done. They've removed it enough to sit 2, although it is open on the right side for Scoffin and Strong to draw around in behind. So no definite advantage created yet. We've got 2 blockers in the back of the house and a nice blue rock fully exposed on the left side. As we let our listeners, remind our listeners that as you can see in the long sheet view, we do have a yellow rock straddling the center line out front. Just a quick update on our other games. Over on sheet 1, we have a 3-all tie. That's between Chiz and Thomas playing Nuremberg and Ross. So 3-all tie in that game. Meanwhile, over on sheet 2, after getting out to a 3-0 lead with Hodgson and Schneider, we now have Crump and Wilson fighting back after a blank in 2. They scored 1 in 3, 1 in 4, so it's 3-2, but Kerry having the hammer here, playing in the 5th. And over on sheet 4, another really tight game. Each team has scored 2 points, and we're sitting at each team has scored a deuce and a single, and we're sitting at 3-all between Steinke and Rock and veterans Meek and Cheryl Bernard. Great to see Cheryl Bernard out curling. We get to see her quite a bit in Banff when we host the TSN Skins game up in the broadcast booth. Great person, very outgoing, and talks to a lot of the members and the players. Of course, her and Terry have been up here a number of times back when they played a lot more, playing a lot of the Bonspiels, and a lot of people around here know them, and they are certainly a crowd favorite amongst the Banff Canmore curlers, and always appreciative to see them come up and support the events and play in the events, and certainly holding their own in this, as they are tied 2-all with Rock and Steinke, a team that is quite adept at this game and very, very competitive. So back to our game. We've got Wade Scoffin coming up light on his draw, just sitting out front, as you can see, an overlapping yellow situation, and Fowler in that tap back actually pushing it through to the back, so creating a bit of a backing that Scoffin and Strong can use on this right side. So again, no real definite advantage. Obviously, the blue in the top 4 is a powerful rock for Fowler and Fowler to have, and in a good position for them. But it is fully exposed. Looks like Scoffin's taking advantage of this right side situation to try and draw around to the button. And of course, because of the blue rocks there, he does have backing if he's a little bit heavy. Helen's on it quick though. I'm not sure if it's for weight or line. We'll keep an eye on it. She is sweeping it. And here it starts to come over. Looks like he's got a really good shot. That is tracking in. If he's got the right weight, he has got great line. It is now fully buried. Let's see if it can slow down enough. And it does. So it's sitting in the back 4. It is shot. It is fully and completely buried behind the whole front situation. But it did go behind the tee line, so it does leave an opportunity for Fowler and Fowler to get to it, and doesn't have to be moved much for Fowler and Fowler to be sitting 4. And as we've seen, rocks are curling 6 feet, so lots of opportunities still left with that one creeping just behind the tee line. Of course, Fowler and Fowler on the left side still have the opportunity to bounce back that blue rock in the front 4 into the situation, so lots of options still available. And of course, we still have 3 shots each to go. A lot will and can happen. Of course, they may also elect just to peel off that front and open it up. They do have last rock, so no sense leaving it too late if that's what they want to do. And here we go, and that's what we're going to see. And Fowler's trying to hit the 2 yellows out and clear open the situation, and if lucky, might peel some things out in the house as well. Oh, successfully knocks away that center line guard and opens up the situation quite substantially. There still is 1 yellow rock right of the center line that's interfering, but the way things are curling, it has opened it up decisively for Fowler and Fowler to get at the situation in the house. And when you've got 3 of your stones in there, it can be scary for the other team to know that. If you don't place your rocks properly, a big end can result. But it's Wade Scoffin's shot, so he has a chance to create some more pressure in here. So it looks like Wade's elected to throw basically the exact shot that he just threw the last shot. Westfield's a bit light. They're both going hard on it. They've got really good line. This is going to hook in as it is now. It's by the guard situation now. It's just a matter of where can they get it to finish. Can they get it to that top 4? Can they get it in there for a second shot and cap off? And they do. What an absolutely great throw by Wade Scoffin. That's exactly where he wanted it, right on that top four. It blocks off the path down into the back situation and forces Fowler and Fowler probably to play a shot in their blue rock in. So still lots available to them to generate points in the end, but certainly that shot makes it a little bit more difficult. I should also note that we're not the only group of people who are videoing this game. In fact, Nancy, the coach for the Fowler and Fowler team, is behind me. She's actually videoing the overhead cameras, showing the situations, and obviously we'll use that information when coaching the team later on the game and what happens. But for now, let's wait and see what will happen. Ben's got a good shot. When you're on off a game, that's always good. Trying to drive the blue rock into this situation in the house and generate some points. And he throws a lovely shot. Great angle raised back. Blue is now sitting one. It is quite protected, but it is exposed on this left side. There are no guards on the left side of center line, so if they can, it'll be Helen's shot, the last shot for the team. If she can throw this down and catch about half to a quarter of that blue, can leave themselves sitting two, if not three. Obviously, it'll be exposed for Fowler and Fowler to get to, but a chance to remove that shot stone and sit a few and put a little more pressure on for the shot. Of course, as Wade's showing there, you could just draw down on that, and if you can get to that frozen, you would be one shot in two. It'd be very difficult for Fowler and Fowler to get that out. Looks like that's the choice they've made. They're going to leave it there and just draw down onto it. So a good opportunity here to put themselves in a great position and force Fowler and Fowler. As we see in mixed doubles, shot to shot, the advantages can swing quite dramatically because as there's more and more rocks in play, the angles become more important, weight and line become more important. So even though the shots are available, if they're not made perfectly, it often can turn the advantage rate back over. So looking over on sheet 2 quickly for an update, Crump and Wilson, who got down early 3-0 after Blanken and 2 took 1 and 3, 1 and 4, and now have just taken 1 and 5. So after 5 ends, that game is all tied up. Of course, as we always know, the 6th end is the important end because it's a chance to score in 6 and then again in 8. So you have 2 scores to 1 for the other team. So even though it's been tied up, Carey and Hodgson will have a chance to score twice to 1 if they can score in this end and go. So still an advantage there for Carey and Hodgson, but certainly Wilson and Crump are making it difficult. That's a local team from here in Alberta. Brooks, a young team and certainly a very competent team as they're playing over there. And we take a look over on Meek and Bernard playing against Rock and Steinke in the 5th end. Bernard and Meek broke this a little bit open. They have scored 3 to go up 6-3. And looks like the group of Steinke and Rock have called the power play and set it up. Always fun when the power play comes up. So again, 6-3 opening for Meek and Bernard over Rock and Steinke, but Rock and Steinke again, they have hammer and 6, and like we just talked about, scoring 6 and 8, but they are down 3, and you're going to use the power play to try and generate some points here. Back to our feature game, as we saw in that last shot, we still have the situation left for Fowler and Fowler as they throw their last shot. They're still sitting the 1. It'd be hard for them to score more than 2 in this. So I think they're just going to draw down into the button, what Fowler, Scoffin and Strong try to do, and generate a deuce that way and take a 1-point lead after 5. So Anna's been really good, as one of our listeners pointed out. Let's see if she can duplicate a shot of an Indigo, drawing it right down onto the button. Well, I'm incorrect. She is not throwing a draw. She is throwing a hit. So let's see what happens off of this shot. She's obviously Trying to hit and roll over in, and wow, what a great shot. I think she was hoping to hit a little more of that yellow and possibly get three. Great attempt at it, almost made it, but still scored the deuce. So really good shot to try and get three, and as we're seeing, it's an aggressive game and aggressive shot making. So near perfect shot still results in two, I believe. So Fowler and Fowler will go up by one heading into the sixth end, but the hammer will go back to Strong and Scoffin. Uh, so as we set up for this sixth end, Anna Fowler's going to throw the first shot. We talked a bit about Wade as a curler. As a coach, he has coached for over 30 years with a lot of experience, and he was awarded the Canadian Curling Association's National Coach Award in 2009. He has coached at 3 Winter Games. He's coached at 4 Arctic Winter Games and 10 Canadian Junior Nationals. He's also facilitated developmental and high performance programming, both nationally and internationally. And as Wade told me, he is coaching the Brazilian national team that is here at this event as well, playing in a different pool. So not only is he playing in our event, he's also coaching the Brazilian national team, something he's done for a couple of years and is quite enjoying. So even though he enjoys the competition and now playing with his son, he has not given up that love of coaching and is still spreading his wealth, not just in Canada, but outside. And so great to see, and a great ambassador for our sport and a great person to have. In talking to him before the game, he was talking about how he's trying to continue to develop, him and Helen, the game in the Yukon and grow it, not just with juniors but with participation. And certainly two great ambassadors for it, and just great people when I chatted with them. So we wish them well in continuing to do that and continuing to grow the game up there and continuing to educate and coach the young athletes as they come out of the Yukon and play curling, not just up there, but hopefully in Canada in the future. Here comes Helen's first throw after Anna put it down perfectly, top four. Helen has responded. They're just going to bump that blue one out a little bit and sits right there behind the protection in the center. So right away, we've got two great shots, and that means we've got a lot of crowding in that middle and situations arising with angles and a lot of the fun. You can sit around and go crazy actually figuring out all the possibilities and angles as these rocks come in the house. So a lot of fun for spectators as well as the players, and a lot to think about, a bit like playing chess. Looks like Fowler and Fowler are going to elect to follow that same path that Anna threw on her first stone down and just come in on top of the situation in the house. And oh nope, they're going to come the other way, which I think is a good choice because they have backing of the yellow. So if they're a bit heavy, they'll come right down on the yellow and be shot and be on top of it. So here we go. Ben's set. He's going to throw his stone. Yep. Well, not sure what happened here. I don't think they wanted to be light like this. I do think they wanted to get this in the house. Got really, really, really slowed down and really, really curled. And you can see from Ben, he does look a little bit confused with what happened. Could it be the stone? Could it be the release? Or is it just a miss in the execution? Not sure, but certainly not the result they wanted, and does give some advantage over to Scoffin and Strong, as they now have an opportunity to draw around and put another one in this house. And with last rock, they're starting to build up an end and build up presence in the house. So let's see what Wade can do here with his first shot of the end. Still lots to come. Nice clean release there. Helen's on it quite quickly. Have to assume it's for weight, because certainly it's out there and it seems to be holding. Looks like Wade's going to join. It might need a little bit of help to get by the front blue now because it's light. It's really taking off. And now it looks like he's going to be on the blue rock. It's really curling over, not because of the ice, but because of the weight. So needed about 6 feet more weight on that. But certainly still a usable rock out in front of the house for them to put back in the situation if it does go not in their advantage. And the two blue rocks now are overlapping, so they're creating a Christmas tree effect on the right side, which is benefiting Fowler and Fowler from protecting their top blue stone, but certainly taking away the advantage of being able to raise them into the house later on in the end. So it looks like Fowler and Fowler are going to come around that yellow rock and sit on top of the shot stone in the house, the yellow shot stone. Here comes Ben. Let's see if he can get this one out there, and that little extra weight that he didn't have last shot. Well, he's kind of indicating it's a little bit up in weight, but they are out in a spot they haven't really been, so you would anticipate this to start dying, and here it goes, it is, and it's really curling hard, but I think he's by the front. They just now need to sweep this as hard as they can to bring it back on top of the situation. Really nice throw. Not quite down to where they wanted it, but Ben did have to go a lot wider than they were going, and probably a bit of guesswork on the weight. I think he did a great job of doing that. Well, just as we're watching this game, I'm just heard some banter going over to my left, and I look over on sheet 2. Carey and Hodgson have got 1, 2, 3, 4 rocks almost in a straight line behind the center guard, and they have a fifth one on top, but Crump and Wilson have got one closer in the back of the house. So certainly not a great situation set up here for Crump and Wilson, who have been giving Carey and Hodgson a great game, all tied after 5, but an opportunity here for Carey on her last shot to potentially score 5. So I'll bring you an update in a moment here. That game may be blown wide open here on one shot by Carey, who've been in a very tight game so far. Back to our game, we've got Helen strong, sweeping hard, trying to get this rock around. It won't get around, but it will bump the front a bit and create quite the wall. That'll be difficult for anyone to get around, to get in, to make a play on this situation that's developed in the house. You can see Anna kind of shrugging a bit there as to what he wants to do. Kind of indicating where she wants the rock, somewhere down in the middle there. And the question is, do you try and raise that top blue one in, or do you try and draw around? I don't think there's much for a draw, so we'll wait and see what they decide to do here. But certainly this out front situation is going to make it problematic for both teams to get something in there. And as it sits right now, I don't think Fowler and Fowler would have a problem with forcing the one in this end. Obviously we'd like to take the point, but it's going to be hard for any of the teams to get something through this. So let's wait and see what they do. Looks like they are going to draw around and just try and tap their blue one back a little bit. Ben doesn't look convinced though yet, so normally in these situations we'd see the curlers come down and possibly have a discussion, but this is a team that plays well together and has played a lot, so they probably understand each other very well and their different thoughts and philosophies, and certainly through the hand signals seem to be able to understanding each other. So they'll do it from the either end, and looks like they've made a final decision going out wide to draw around with a little bit of weight to tap back their blue stone on top of the yellow. Looks to be the call. Ben did just throw this, so he should have some sense of the weight down this path. He'll just need a little bit more in order to make some movement happen of the blue rock when it makes contact. Does seem to be a little up and a little out. Let's see if it's going to come down and hook though. It's starting to try, but I don't know that it will be able to come over far enough. Nope. Well, not a bad plan B to tuck it around, as we've been talking about. 6 feet of curl, that's a great throw to get back into the 4-foot and into a position where they've got 2 stones now in good position. Not sure how they might be able to use them. Yellow sitting 1. It's going to be Wade throwing the next rock. Be interesting to see what they call here. And he is looking to line things up. Yeah, on one end you open it up, maybe you have a chance to get more than one. On the other end, when you open it up, you may give Fowler and Fowler a chance to get in there and get a steal. So trying to get aggressive to get 2 or more can also give advantage to the other team to maybe make a steal. So not sure what they've decided, and certainly Helen's gone down to sweep, so we'll have to wait till the rock's released to know exactly what they've chosen to play. So certainly nothing decided in this end. Other than yellow looking sitting one, there's certainly lots of opportunities for things to change here in the last couple of shots. Oh, what a great shot there by Wade Scoffin. This is two ends in a row. Oh, no, though. Oh, he played exactly what he wanted to, but got probably the worst result out of it. He was hoping to advance that in onto the blues, and lots of opportunity for happen. Somehow it went exactly back on top of the yellow, and now we're not sure whether or not blue is shot or yellow is shot. If you look at the overhead camera, it is not sure. What is sure is that it's only a one, whichever way it goes. So, the shot he tried to raise, that yellow one out there, was hard enough, and he made it almost perfect. Well, like we talked about, in all these situations with the angles just a little bit off, and it can change things. So, not sure who shot. Looks like Wade's going to go out there, followed by Helena. Take a look and see who is. But of course, Wade looking pretty confident that their shot. A little tap to the chest and strong nod to Helen, and wants her to go and take a peek and feel the same way. Let's see what she thinks about the situation. Yeah, maybe not quite as convinced, but Wade seems to be. So looks like it could be yellow one. Two shots to come in the end. Fowler and Fowler will throw the first of those, and then Helen will be able to respond. So let's see what they come up with here. And the rocks released. I would have to think they're throwing a guard on this situation. I think they feel that blue on the outside is exposed for a heavy draw to come around and push it through and sit for a couple. So it looks like they're trying to block off the hole, but this one looks to be over curling. I think it's going to over curl. It really is taking off. And those of you can see this yourselves with the guard situation. That rock really went too far and will not affect this next shot. So you can see Wade right away taking a look at this situation to see how he might be able to get in and make a play to get a deuce out of this, or at least make sure he's won. He's looking at that raise again. The one thing that blue rock may have done is it may be just in a bad enough position that he can't quite get to the yellow one before it would be affected by the blue. But that same shot may be available. It's hard to tell from our angle, but I would suggest that the one thing the blue might have done is remove that raise, but it doesn't really seem to be deterring Wade from throwing it again. So it obviously is still there as a shot. So we can tell you over on sheet 2, Hodgson and Carey were sitting 5, as we said to you, heading into the last shot of that end. Not sure how that shot ended up for Carey, but we can tell you that they shook after that end. So whether they got the 5 or 6 or just 4, it was enough in the 6th end to bring out the handshakes. So Crump and Wilson giving Carey and Hodgson all the game they could up until that 6th end, where they were able to take huge advantage and close the game out. So as we've seen all through the draws, big ends can come at any time. So even though it's a close game, you can see where 3s and 4s and 5s can come up at any point. One team gets hot and the other team doesn't. It can really change. Looking over on sheet 1, we see that Chiz and Thomas have fallen behind. Nuremberg and Roth by 1, playing in the 5th end. And we'll bring you an update there as they're just coming down to the end. I think they're going to mark it. And yes, they do. In the 5th end, Charlie Thomas and Nadine Scotland scored 4. So they scored 4 to take a 7-4 lead, but right now it looks like Roth and Nuremberg in the 6th end are building up for a 2. We'll bring you more when the end finishes. In 6th end, over on sheet 4, we have Rockensteinke putting the power play into effect in the 6th end, but only being able to generate 1, so they are down 6-4, playing in the 7th, and they do not have Hammer. Hammer belongs to Meek and Cheryl Bernard, who are playing a great game and have an advantage right now. So we're now going to say thank you again to our sponsors. Again, events like this can't happen without the support of the community and businesses, and Qualico has stepped up and become our major sponsor. We thank them. The Malcolm Hotel, Vision Electronics, Bow Valley Credit Union, our silver sponsors, and many local businesses in curling businesses giving us great support in the Bow Valley. So now we're going to look at the overhead camera where Fowler and Ben Fowler and Wade Scoffin are going to do a measure to see who gets the point in this end. So nothing resolved out of the last shot. Didn't quite curl enough for the advancement of the yellow rock, and Wade does what he did earlier in the end when he felt they were shot rock, and he was right. So yellow will take one. After 6 ends, we have a tie game. We have 2 ends to go. Fowler and Fowler will own the hammer heading into the 7th end, but of course, if everything goes as it should, that would leave the hammer back for Scoffin and Strong in the last end. But as we know in mixed doubles, anything can happen. An aggressive game, a lot of offense, big numbers can come out, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But Helen Strong will throw the first rock of this end, try and draw it right down to the button. But as we see, Fowler and Fowler have invoked the power play. So in mixed doubles, each team, when they have the hammer, can once during a game call a power play. That's when they line up a rock, the back of the rock on the tee line, splitting the 8-foot and 12-foot, and a guard immediately out in front on the path from the hack down. There are markers on the ice that are put in. In fact, that marker is put in 3.7 feet, off the center line to either side. So there is markers to help measure it out. All that's done by our ice making crew before the event started. A lot of great work it's done. It's not just making the ice. They've got to make sure that the buttons are in properly, the pinholes are straight, and of course that these markers are put in the ice and measured twice to make sure they're done right, so that they give the right setting for the players to use. And in Banff, head ice maker of Banff, Brian Armstrong, chose to use loonies. Must have been watching some reruns of Olympic hockey when a loonie was buried under the center ice. But he did use loonies. I did tell him that would be $48 he'd be putting in the ice, because there are in fact 48 loonies buried out there. Of course, they have to be put out in both ends. So 48 loonies mark all the spots, and that's how the players know where to put their stones. So here we go. Looks like Helen was trying to come around, but over curled, but successfully knocked her guard back in the house. It is exposed to Fowler and Fowler to come down and remove and possibly even roll behind and have 2 behind center here. So Anna quickly coming down. She's obviously decided what she wants, and Ben will sweep. No need to hold the broom. The players have learned the ice, and many times they throw without someone holding the broom. It's a skill they must learn. They must pick a point to focus on and let go and trust it. And you can see right now Ben just confirming with Anna where it's supposed to be. It is important because Ben, the sweeper, needs to know whether or not that rock is coming out where they want it to, a little inside or outside. Gives him some advice because there's nobody in the house yelling at the sweeper and helping them. Anna obviously staying behind the rock can give some of that, but Ben wanting to know upon release whether or not the rock's going down the path. And just something to let our viewers know, we're 2 ends away from the end when this game is over. We have talked to the Fowlers and their coach, and we will be bringing them on for an interview after the game, a chance to talk to the national English team and their coach and get some insight on not just this tournament, but them as players and their team. Wow. Anna looking like something must have picked, and I'd have to agree with her. She's been throwing it very clean, and that did not look any different. But that rock's certainly taking off just out of her hand and must have picked on something and showing a little bit of frustration in a very professional way. But some encouragement from Ben there, and realizing that there's not much she could have done once that thing picked. They'll rub that off, and they'll now refocus on the next shot. So unfortunate situation. We hate to see that happen. Now that'll give Strong and Scoffin a chance to take advantage of that miss and either come down and take out the blue in the house, or draw around the situation and sit shot rock. So we'll wait to see what they've decided to do. I think the way he's lining up, he's looking at throwing a draw around it. But certainly not the best situation from that shot from Fowler and Fowler. Unfortunate pick, and we never like to see that happen. But again, that's not Scoffin and Strong who did anything there. And so it's, as they say in golf, which I'm familiar with, the rub of the green, and you have to shake it off if you're the throwing team, and if you're the other team, you have to just focus on your next shot and not worry whether that was an unfortunate incident or not. Never like to see it happen, but it has, and we're moving on to the next shot. So Wade throwing one down, trying to come around the situation on the right side, the guards. It's staying out there a lot. I think I was wrong, actually. No, here it comes. I just don't think it quite curled enough, so it didn't quite get buried. It does leave an opportunity for Fowler to play a double here and sit actually sit behind that yellow guard and sit in a really good position. So a chance to erase that pick from memory and take advantage of that undercurl by Wade's throw. Perfect weight, and Wade has had great weight during this, but unfortunately that one didn't quite bury where they wanted to. So you see a little extra cleaning, not just by Ben, but by Anna. Let's see if he can make this shot. Get to the inside of that yellow. Not just removing the one, but hopefully removing the other one and staying in behind the guard. So Anna's right on it. So that rock's starting to go hard. Anna's trying to hold it there. Ben giving instructions. Got her off, got her on. That's always a great sign. Oh, it just grazes that top guard. So that rock just over curling. And actually bouncing that yellow over actually covers their yellow rock. And the blue rock, fortunately for them, because it did hit, is staying over on the left. So not all that bad a situation, because they do have two rocks in the house. They are sitting two, it would seem, Fowler and Fowler. But an opportunity here for Scoffin and Strong to either try to generate that steal or get rid of one of the blues. So as we've said often during this telecast, without someone holding the broom down the other end, not sure what the call is. We sometimes don't know till they let it go. And by the way Wade's lining up, it looks like he's going to be playing down the left side, and that push would seem to tell us that he's going to do a takeout. So he's obviously looking to hit and roll off this blue one. Most importantly, the hit. Secondly, trying to get a roll over to the right behind those guards. He's got a really good shot coming. I think it's going to nose, so not bad at all. He does nose. He does sit shot rock, I would say, from the angles that we can see at. Looks like Anna's going to take a little peek at it. We'll see if she'll give us. Nope, I think she's indicating it is yellow, and that's why they're going to take a play on that. Hopefully to get a roll in and be sitting two after this shot. So one thing we can say, Ben has played in the World Mixed Doubles Curling Championship. He did in 2016, and in that year he finished 8th. Still a good showing, and that would have been during earlier years. Now playing with sister Anna, certainly showing there's great chemistry with this sibling team, and having a good year so far, as we already talked about. Anna, 3-time English Mixed Doubles champion, obviously has an adeptness for this game, and must be fun to play with your brother. And you get to travel around with them and spend time, and certainly that's a great way to spend some time with your family. Of course, Wade Scoffin and Helen Strong are a husband and wife team and have been playing together and quite competently, and it's great to have them all the way down. And as we noted earlier, they are also, or Wade is also coaching the Brazilian national team that is here playing in our event in a different pool, and a team we hope we get a chance to see a little later on at some point. Wade repeating his last shot, looking to hit this. He does want a bit of an inside roll to get to shot stone and maybe even get some cover, needing it to curl just a little bit more. And really good shot, really good shot. He was able to get that over. Not sure if he got to shot rock, but certainly it's in a dangerous position there, and easy to tap back into shot or easy to make a play off. But I think we're going to see the Fowlers probably hit that and get a bit of a roll over. They could play the double, but I think just rolling over in behind that guard situation would leave them sitting two. Again, we just want to say thank you to all the listeners who have joined us. Any comments you want to send through, please do. We always like to hear from you, and if there's things that we can answer or advise you on or ask the players during breaks, we can do that for you. But thank you again for listening. It's nice to have you out there. Also, I just want to do a quick recap. So in the seventh end, Meek and Bernard have taken two more, so they're up 8-4. They're still playing. Steinke and Rock are not giving up. They're down 4, and we've seen that things can happen, but obviously taking a bit of a commanding situation here by scoring 2, and you can see by the intensity on the face of Bernard and Meek that this is a game they want to win. They don't want to let this one get away. So that's a situation on sheet 4. We already told you that Hodgson and Carey scored a big end in number 6 to close that game out. And over on sheet number 1, we have the team of Nadine Scotland and Charlie Thomas, who won their first game yesterday, up 8-4, having stolen 1 and 6, up 8-4 on Nuremberg and Roth. Of course, Roth and Nuremberg have the hammer in 7 and look to be trying to generate something. If they can get a couple points, as we've seen in this game, it is not that difficult to not just score multiple points, but steal multiple points because of the way the game's set up. So back to our feature game. Great throw by Fowler. He's made the double, and he now sits the 2, but it is open for a play on it to possibly make a double. There is got to be a bit of worry that that rock, if you hit about a quarter, might jam after it hits the back blue on that yellow and leave a draw for 2. So you have to be careful on it. But of course, trying to make a draw for shot is another option behind that blue and yellow. But if you don't make it perfectly, you leave a chance for 3 and to blow the game open. So at least making a play on the 1 blue and removing it. The worst you give up is 2. That's a lot easier to score than 3 to tie a game with the hammer coming home. So I think they're going to make a play on that blue, so they at least remove a rock, because the really aggressive call would be to draw around that whole situation and sit 1. But don't make it right, and you can leave a big end and maybe end the game because it's hard to get 3 and especially 4. Not impossible, as we've seen a lot during these draws, but obviously difficult, especially when the other team knows you need it. Well, if you can see how far those fingers are apart, I'd say a good 3 inches. It seems to be some indication maybe of how much that he ideally wants to hit of that stone, and I think we can pretty well confirm that Helen's going to throw a takeout here. Probably looking at hitting about half a rock would probably make the double under it. Hitting under a quarter of the rock would be looking to go over top of it, which they don't want to do because I think it'll jam on that yellow. So I think we're trying to get to half a rock here, and that could get rid of both blues and sit 1, maybe even 2 if that outside yellow one's biting, and it looks to be. So a nice double here could force the 1 out of Fowler and Fowler. But Wade's on this one right away, holding it. He's off. That's always a good sign when you're on and off. Looks like it's going to over curl, so they might just get the 1. They don't. Oh, and they even miss off the jam. So, well, situation for Fowler and Fowler, a chance to just throw a draw anywhere in the paint to score their 3 and 7 and take a bit of a commanding situation heading into the final. So, bit of a miss there on that throw, but it wasn't an easy one, trying to get at half a rock, half buried behind a guard. You can tell that a little bit of relief from the Fowler team when that rock missed. You saw a good step on them as they came sailing down the ice ready to throw this shot, but now they're settling in, making sure they're ready. You don't ever want to miss an opportunity like this to score the extra point. You want to take advantage of just a few extra moments, settle yourselves down. These seem easy. These seem easy and automatic, but it's you want to make sure you make them. It's a point available to you. You don't want to not take advantage. This is big because 3 points is really big instead of 2 at this junction in the game. Anna's out. Here's her delivery. You've got Ben on it. He's timing it out of her hand, and he's right down cleaning it. So he obviously feels there's a need to keep it not just clean, but a little bit of push. So he's going hard. Anna's going to jump up to join him, but Ben seems to feel like it's good. He's on, he's off, he's on, he's off. It looks like this is a great throw by Anna. It's settling into the house. Wade's already out clearing it. So great throw, and the Fowlers will take a 3-point lead now heading into the final end. as we look over here on sheet 4 to our right, you can see a bit of the situation. Steinke and Rock have 2 rocks in play. They actually have 3 rocks in play, but there is a yellow one on the back button. They'll at some point have to move around in order to bring the 2 of the rocks back into play and have a chance to score the 4 they need to tie the game. So still an opportunity over there, and still a chance for them to generate the 4. So we'll keep an eye on that game, because it's not over, even with that 4-point lead. Back to our game, the Scoffin and Strong have called the power play. So we're going to go into this last end with a power play. A great chance to see it down here at this end. Forces all the play out to the side of the rings, which is what you want when you have last rock. And leaves that front open so you have an out if you need it. Certainly in this situation, they're trying to generate a lot of points, and maybe there's a new path out here that they could fool Fowler and Fowler on, or that maybe they would misjudge. So power play, as much as giving the play out to the side of the rings, might be a good strategy in terms of changing up the path that everyone's playing. So this one, they're trying to come on the outside and push their blue one into the house and roll their own one out if they can. While they can't remove a rock, the throwing rock can go out of play, and that's what we see in this situation. They don't add any more stones in. It's removed because it was a thrown stone, and the other one they bumped over nicely into a center line position and not quite biting. So you can't remove a stone till the 4th thrown stone, but you can have the rock you deliver go out of play. That's absolutely allowed. So they've opened up this guard, this rock in the house. Again, they can afford to give up 2, just not 3. So keeping it clean and removing the yellow stones will certainly be a bit of a something that the Fowler and Fowler are going to want to do, because they can start counting the rocks. Looks like this guard is going to come a little bit heavy, so Wade's going to try and bring it in and not set up the double, which he's done a good job on. He's left them almost parallel to each other. So while it wasn't exactly what they wanted, it certainly ended up in a good position, and we'll see what Fowler and Fowler do, but you can almost guarantee they're going to want to remove stones. They can afford to give up 2, just not 3, and if the rocks aren't there, then, well, you can't score your points. So, but it actually appears that they might be drawing in. I'm a little bit intrigued by that. They are going to actually draw in, according to what Anna wants, and leave those 2 rocks there. So they seem to be wanting to play an aggressive approach to this end. And we'll see how that plays out. As we always say, there's no wrong strategy, there's no wrong tactic, there's just different ways to approach it. This seems to be an aggressive one. So let's see how this plays out. Anna's down watching line, Ben's ready to sweep. Good communication, which is so important between the person in the house and the sweepers. And you can see this team has it. They're talking all the time down, good eye contact, and just really good communication. That is something that's so important between a team. That's a great example. Well, certainly a wonderful shot made there. It does get it behind the center line guard, but does leave the 2 yellow stones in play. So it does leave 3 rock chance here. So an interesting situation could develop, and I think Strong and Scoffin are happy with that. Even though the blue's in a good position, second shot, it is a little bit exposed on the come around, and they are generating stones in the house, which is what they need if they're going to score 3. So let's see what happens here. Looks like we're going to have a draw around. They're going to follow that blue rock down and try and get it covering over top a bit of it, use it as backing, and generate some activity in this house that they can use. Over on sheet 1, it looks like Thomas and Scotland, who we've noted as Chiz in our broadcast, but she's actually Nadine Scotland. They stole 1 more in 7, and that means that game is now over 9-4. So we have a 9-4 finish on sheet 1. So our only 2 games remaining are sheet 3 and sheet 4. Just a little light on Wade's last shot. It did over-curl a bit because it was light. The good news is, though, it is blocking their shot on the forfeit, and it is biting. So it is a potential counting stone. It is a stone they can also advance into that blue rock, and it is covering over part of their yellow rock, although we've seen with the 6 feet of curl here that certainly Fowler and Fowler can get around that top yellow one in the house and remove the other one, or the the thick double, as they call it, still there on the outside, but not sure what they're calling. It looks like they might be drawing around again onto this right side. We'll wait to see when Ben throws it. I am a little surprised that they're not removing stones, because you can't score 3 if you don't have 3, but they seem to be taking an offensive approach to this, trying to generate, using their rocks, a winning end. But here we go. They are now going to make a takeout shot. They are going to remove one of the stones, and we'll see what happens. They need thickness here to get to the other, and they do, and what an absolute great shot. I'm surprised they didn't do that earlier in the end when they had the chance, but realizing the buildup of stones, they made the choice here, and certainly got rid of one and moved the other one out of the forfeit. So sitting 2, blue is now 1. A little bit behind cover, still exposed, the other one fully exposed. So certainly Strong and Scoffin can still do a lot this end and generate their 3. But certainly we're getting late in the end, and blue's in a good position. So let's see what they're going to do. They can either advance that yellow one back or draw around and come off that outside blue one getting in. So looks like they are going to come down the left side here and make a play off the back one, or at least a straight draw down into that. So Wade's released it. Helen is right there on it, just lightly keeping it brushed, which is always a good sign. When you like a rock, you are usually just keeping it clean. But here she goes hard now, trying to hold it. It looks like they're trying to advance this yellow one back. Keep the guard in play and keep the yellow rock back onto the blue. And here it goes. It's hit a little bit more of an angle. Go hard. A really good throw. Keeps it high on top, and it still allows them the chance to try and generate their 3, but looks like Fowler and Fowler are just going to try and remove this outside yellow and eliminate one more rock, which will make it very hard for Strong and Scoffin to try and generate their 3 and hide their rocks in a way that Fowler and Fowler can't get at it. So I think they're going to play off this back one. It's called rock elimination time, because without 3 stones to count, it's hard to score 3 points. Nice release. He is right on the rock from our angle. He's certainly going to get it. I think he'll just roll out. He might get over the nose, but nope, he'll hit and roll out. But still exactly what they wanted to do, eliminate. And my personal thought is that you don't want that extra blue rock sitting around. Any rock behind the tee line is your opponent's friend, because they can play down to it and be shot, and it does create backing in the back of the house. So that even later, if they're trying to remove one of the Strong Scoffin rocks, it can accidentally jam on it and leave it around. So I think that's the right call. Get that blue out of there when you take it out. So it looks like Wade's trying to find a way to eliminate a blue at the same time as getting the shot he's going to throw into the house. So they do need to make sure that they get rid of one of those blues, because both of them are going to have to go at some point, and they need to make sure they stick around here. So looks like he wants to play that top yellow one back, which is actually not a bad idea, because if he does that, he does open up the other blue rock that he's going to need to get rid of. And if he can roll it in the house, he'll have 3 rocks in the house, and Fowler and Fowler will have to make a decision on removing or not, which could leave a play to get rid of the blue stones and count their 3. So what you're seeing in the strategy call is taking into effect that they need 3 rocks to score. So if they were earlier in the event in the game, they probably wouldn't play the shot they're playing here, but they need to in order to generate rocks in the house. So looks like he's going to try and hit about 3/4 of his own yellow, which should push the blue that's beside it out of the way, and roll the yellow back in, and roll his shooter over into the house there and give them 3 rocks. So let's see what Wade can do here. It's not an easy shot. It's a quite precise shot. So there's nobody going to hold the broom. We're going to have Helen down sweeping, and I think as soon as Wade lets it go, he'll be calling line. And the shot's away. And it's coming down. Needs to curl just a bit more to get the result, because I don't want to lose that yellow rock. You know what? An absolutely great attempt. He did manage to get that one in the forfeit back, which he needed to do, and he did manage to still leave a play on that yellow one onto the blue. So Fowler and Fowler just need to eliminate one of these yellows. It's there, but if it overcurls and jams, it could give Schofield and Strong a chance. So we'll wait to see what happens. They do want to make sure they probably just need to hit half of this yellow stone, roll over into the other situation, but no shots a gimme, and we have seen a few overcurl in this game already. So let's wait and see what's going to happen. But certainly just want to remove this stone here, and we'll put them in a great situation. Well, just looking over here at what's developing in the end on sheet 4, we've got Steinke and Rock with a chance to get their 4. They're contemplating whether they want to make a shot for 5 even. So it's quite an interesting thing about to happen. Just draw in to take this to next end, or do they try to play for the win? So we'll keep an eye on that situation once they make the decision on the shot. But we have Anna Fowler, her last rock, and the team's last rock. If they can eliminate one of these yellow stones, then that will end this game. It seems like a good shot because they're sweeping and sweeping, and there it goes, and that will end our game with only 2 available rocks. They can't score 3. So we'll make that final score is going to be, we'll see what they say, but at least 9-6 before we get it posted. Well, will they clean up the rocks and get ready to come off? We are going to come back online with an online interview with the Fowlers, the English team. We'll get their thoughts on this, and we'll also see if we can't get Helen Strong and Wade Scoffin to come on and talk a little about what they're doing up in Yukon with curling, and a little bit about what Wade's done for the game, and of course their thoughts on this game and the results and how it all came about. So just hang with us for a little bit. We're going to let them just get back inside, and then we'll do a little bit of an interview. So hang on for about 2 minutes, and we'll be back with you for the on-air interview. All right, we just finished the game with Fowler against Scoffin and Strong. How many points? How did it end in the last end? What happened in the eighth?
So we ran them out of stones, so it was a no score. But I think we were lying one at the end, so they had a shot for a two.
There you go. So we have a no end. So the final score, make the final score, as Vic Ryder would say, make it 9-6. So a great game by Fowler and Fowler. Just before we go into our interview with you, I have to say, Julie Bergman, she wrote us a couple times during the game. We answered her questions, but she wants me to ask, are you still smiling from last night?
Yes, we are. We had a bit of a slow start in our game last night. I think we were 4-0 down, and I also blanked an end, which obviously, as you know, is not the aim in mixed doubles. And then we scored 2 threes, and had a double to win the game with a 3 in the last. So, good finish.
Julie, I'm going to say yes. They're still smiling. If you can see the smiles on both their faces, not only are they beautiful, they're happy. So absolutely. Thank you, Julie, and thank you for engaging us with us. So Fowler and Fowler, you're the English champions, your brother and sister team, and you've curled for how long? Tell us a little bit about yourselves, because we don't have a lot of information, but we're interested in sort of how you got into curling and what's it like to curl in England and how's it like to be national champions. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
So after the Olympics in 2002, I think it was, there was a rink opened in England, so the first one, and our mum took us along to just give it a go, and we didn't stop playing. We loved the sport, so we just kept on at it.
Yes,
so your mum is the reason that you're here.
Yeah, that's right.
It's usually the case.
Yeah, so we played in England for, I don't know, however long that has been, but Ben's moved up to Scotland now, so Ben has lived in Scotland for 6 years, and I actually moved up at the beginning of this year to get a bit more ice time, and we're now part of the British curling programme as well, so we get a lot more support, which is really helping and gives us the opportunity to come to amazing competitions like this one.
That's right, so you are English champions, but you're also part of
Just to put you right on that one, we're not actually English champions at the moment, so we have I suppose I am the national champion at the moment, but we have our nationals to go to Worlds in 2 weeks' time, so hopefully we'll be. But
I'm just prophesizing, I guess. Soon to be English champions, we hope, but thank you for clarifying that. But you are reigning English champions, so that's great to know. So you've moved up to Scotland. Is that just because it's greater accessibility, or is that where the national program is for Britain?
So I moved up for university 6 years ago, and it was mainly for curling. I love it for university. A lot of curling and not much studying. And then once we got into the British program, the prerequisite is you have to be near Stirling in Scotland, which is where the National Curling Academy is, and where all the coaches are.
so I made the big move from London to Stirling.
So how's the move been? You've been there for less than a year?
Just a few months actually. It's very different to my hometown, but it's great, and just the facilities are incredible, and the coaching and all the support staff are wonderful. So that makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, you were here a little bit early for the event, so we got to see you around the club, and you can see this great camaraderie amongst all the teams, and it just seems to be good communication. So it does seem to be a great program, great support.
Absolutely, yeah, we're really lucky, and we come out here with the other 2 British teams, so it makes it a really good event and a really good trip for us as well, yeah.
Now, if I read right, you were the champions in the Italian Mixed Doubles Cup, is that correct?
Not quite. We won unbeaten until the final, and then lost out in the final. Didn't have our best game, and they played really well, so.
I should be calling this a correction interview from all the stats that I shared during there. I'm not trying to.
We'd like to be English champions and Italian champions.
Oh, wonderful! But you had a good go there at the event.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really good event. In there, they've got a really nice rink with amazing ice. It was really good, and lots of Italian teams which we've not played before, which was good.
So people have been asking questions. What's the worst and best thing with husband and wives playing together as a mixed doubles team? So as siblings, has it been helpful having your brother up in Scotland at the same time?
Yeah, of course, it helps that I know at least someone in Scotland. No, it's really good actually. I think one thing we kind of take for granted is that you have very good communication when you're siblings, which is something you have to work on a little bit more when you're playing with someone who you're not related to, I suppose. So I think that's a massive advantage. And also I think, if we have an argument, or we don't really argue that much, but if we get annoyed with each other, it's, gone in a minute or two. It's not like we have to we don't fester on anything, which I think is very helpful as well.
Nothing in the curling game you argue about could be any worse than what you had an argument at the dinner table about when you were younger, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's awesome. No, and it's one thing we commented during the commentary. You could just see the great communication, the great comfort level with each other out there, and it really does show in your play. And I'm sure it's an advantage. Now, you're focusing just purely on mixed doubles now. That's the goal. Do you play any of the four with any other teams?
We both played a lot of men's and women's in the past, and mixed actually. But this year we're focusing only on mixed doubles. Yeah.
And do you see any change? Obviously, when mixed doubles first came out, there were just people from teams coming together and playing in events, and now we're starting to see that specialization in the game. And one thing I'm noticing is that these specialized teams are starting to get to the same level, if not surpassing, bringing two great players together. What are you seeing happening out there? Because you're at a lot of these mixed doubles events. Is it moving towards mixed doubles specialists, and you're seeing these teams starting to surpass?
A lot of the men's and women's teams curlers that come together, they're amazing shot makers. So they'll build up an end and play a massive shot, and, a triple takeout or something. And that's their like special skill in mixed doubles. Whereas the mixed doubles only players are a bit more like tactical, because you get used to the way the end's set up and you know exactly which shots to play at the right point, which makes them play very different tactics.
I think if you're a good shot maker, obviously it's going to take you a long way, but I do think that specialising in the game, we're really improving a hell of a lot and learning a lot more, and actually I think a lot of teams are now innovating more in mixed doubles because it is a relatively new discipline, and you're seeing a lot of things happening with the specialist mixed doubles teams like Martin Rios and Jenny Parrott, etc., that you maybe don't see with the two great players coming together, but they'll still obviously get the results if they're going to play 80-90%.
Yeah. Well, still, it's interesting to see, and it's great to see teams coming together and just specializing in it. So, so what's next after you're done this event? I mean, this is obviously the highlight of your year, I'm sure. And but what's next for you when you have to leave this beautiful place?
So we are heading home on Tuesday or Monday, and we are then training straight for national championships. After that, we have competitions in Switzerland. We're
Back
going
to
Russia,
again.
Sochi in Russia, to the Olympic Park, and a few others. Beale, maybe. Can't remember. We have quite an intense schedule, and just we'll be training back up in Stirling in the meantime. So, but yeah, national championships are obviously the main part of the season. So,
great. Now
focusing on that.
Oh, that's good. Is this your first time to the area, Banff and Canmore?
We were in Lethbridge a couple of years ago, the World Championships, but we haven't been up to Banff yet. So
I don't know how we missed out, because it's wonderful. We love it.
No, was it you who tweeted out the picture from the Fairmont Banff Springs where you were on the treadmill and you showed the picture out?
Exactly. Yeah, we went, and we were lucky enough to go to the spa at the Fairmont Springs, and it really was a very very nice afternoon. Had a workout and then just relaxed in the spa. It was such a beautiful place, and yeah, very lucky, very spoiled.
Do you ever find yourself peering out those large windows at the mountains when you're curling, or can you keep your focus down here?
I found, during the practice the other day, before the competition, I found us staring out a lot. But when you get into the game, your focus is just on it. So.
Also, the weather's not as good today, so we can't actually see the mountains. But when it's blue skies, yes, it is difficult.
Yeah, well, look, I know you want to get back with your coach, Nancy, and I know you want to take some time to analyze that game and how you keep improving. But so far in this event, 2 wins. You just need to make the championship to get in the money, and 10,000 available if you can get to that big game, or 5,000 is not bad as a consolation. So, yeah, we wish you best of luck. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully we'll talk to you later on. But, great chemistry out there. You're playing really well, and we look forward to following you through the years in the mixed doubles. It was nice to get a chance to meet with you here.
Thanks very much, and thank you so much for having us. It's such a wonderful event.
All right, take care now. That was Anna and Ben Fowler, sister and brother team from England, who are actually playing up in Stirling as part of the Scotland, as part of the British national program, and they are doing well here. They've won 2 games now. They're 2-0, and hopefully that will translate well as they can get into championship round. So we're going to see about maybe getting Scoffin and Strong on, but we're getting close to our next game, so we have to get prepped here. So we'll try to get to Scoffin and Strong later on this week. Right now we're just going to take a pause as we get ready for our 2 o'clock game. It'll come to you very shortly.